It was arbitrary, unfair, and it's an attack on the rule of law. It's an attack on judges.
America, that clip aired on CBS in April of this year. 1 month later, that same network published a different headline. Trump's administration onboards the largest ever class of new immigration judges. The same outlet, 30 days apart, and not one sentence in the May story connected back to the April one. 1.08 million. That is how many immigration cases in the DOJ, the Department of Justice, has completed since January 20th last year. Not filed, not sitting on the shelf, completed. And the man those fired judges were attacking on CBS is the same man who just watched 82 new replacements raise their hand in the Great Hall of the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C.
There is a new strategy to share tonight to target a backlog of immigration cases. The Associated Press is reporting that a memo shows Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth approving sending up to 600 military lawyers to the Justice Department. Those lawyers would serve as immigration judges. The Union for Immigration Judges, though, says about 600 immigration judges are currently serving after some were fired or ended up taking deferred resignations that were offered by the Trump administration earlier. This strategy, though, would double the amount of immigration judges if it happens.
If it happens, that was April. On May 20th, it happened. And that phrase, my friends, is going to look worse every single day. But before we go inside that ceremony, there's something buried in CBS's own April story. 2 paragraphs down, one of those fired judges said something on camera that CBS never followed up on. It completely flips the attack on the rule of law story. What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me walk you through what happened on May 20th because the headlines give you the number without the story behind it, as always, right? Pete Hegseth first authorized the program back in September of 2025. Military lawyers, JAG officers, that stands for Judge Advocate General, could serve as temporary immigration judges for the Department of Justice. Then in April of this year, he signed a follow-up memo approving up to 600 of them, deploying them in waves of 150 at a time as needed. When I covered that original memo about a month ago, that video will be somewhere on the screen if you want to check it out. After this video, by the way, I told you 5 out of 600 was a down payment, not a delivery. And I said we would know if Hegseth meant it when the first group physically walked through the door. On May 20th, in the Great Hall of the Department of Justice, the first wave walked through the door.
CBS News has learned the Trump administration brought on more than 80 new federal immigration judges this week in an effort to speed up deportation cases. CBS News immigration correspondent Camilo Montoya Galvez joins me now with his exclusive reporting. Camilo, what have you learned?
Well, Meg, as part of its mass deportation campaign, the second Trump administration has sought to overhaul the immigration court system, which is actually run by the Justice Department. It is part of the executive branch, not the judicial branch. It is not independent. The immigration judges are employees of the Justice Department and are overseen by the Attorney General. The administration needs immigration judges because right now there is a backlog of 3.5 million cases, pending immigration court cases that have yet to be adjudicated and decided. And in order to deport a lot of the people that the administration wants to deport from the U.S., they need immigration judges to issue what are known as removal or deportation orders. So right now, the administration has onboarded more than 80 immigration judges, most of them permanent immigration judges. A lot of them are former ICE lawyers, local and state prosecutors, or military officials and judges too. So they have a law enforcement background. And the context here is critical. This comes after the administration has ousted and fired more than 100 immigration judges, including many who were appointed under the Biden administration. So in essence, the new cohort of judges are replacing the ones that have been fired by the administration.
They were in desperate need.
They were in desperate need. That is CBS News' own immigration reporter, the same network that put the fired judges on camera, that called it it an attack on the rule of law, is now telling you that the court system was in desperate need of replacement. Trust me, you guys, the two positions here can't be both CBS's honest read from the same situation, but they both are. They're published, broadcast, never connected. Those 82 judges were sworn in by Chief Immigration Judge Teresa L. Riley, 77 of them permanent civilians and 5 military lawyers. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche was there, and I want you to hear what Blanche had already told Congress about this situation, because the timing of his testimony is part of the story.
The Executive Office for Immigration Review has completed well over 1 million immigration cases and reduced backlog by more than 447,000 cases since President Trump took office last year. We have a graduation tomorrow, the largest graduation of immigration judges in many, many years, if not history.
He said that on the Senate floor on May 19th, one day before the ceremony. The backlog dropped from 4 million cases to 3.53 million. 447,000 cases cleared. The judge corps is back near 700, and 153 of those permanent judges were hired this fiscal year alone, which started last October. This is not a broken court system. This is a court system that just got cleaned out and restocked, and the restocking is moving faster than people who called it a crisis are actually willing to admit. That's bad enough, you guys, for a narrative, but what I'm going to show you makes this absolutely worse, and it comes straight from CBS's own reporting. George Papa Fritas is the fired judge from the cold open, appointed under the Obama administration, served in Boston, fired by email. CBS gave him a camera and let him ramble on, and he called it an attack on the rule of law. Then, 2 paragraphs into that same CBS article, George Papafritos said something that nobody really followed up on.
They told me, grant the motions to dismiss. This is when ICE was roaming the courthouses, because if we dismiss the case, that person that responded then leaves the court vulnerable to immediate apprehension and expedited removal.
Let me be clear about what actually happened here. George Papafritas told CBS that the Biden-era Department of Justice instructed him to grant motions to dismiss cases. Grant motions to dismiss cases, not rule on facts, to actually dismiss. And the reason here was specific. When ICE was near the courthouse, a dismissed case sent that person back outside, where ICE agents were waiting to pick them up. So Biden's DOJ's own judges were being used as a backdoor pipeline, not like at Diddy's house, but an actual backdoor pipeline. Dismissed the case in the courtroom. ICE makes the arrest in the parking lot, and the same judges are now on CBS calling the replacement bench an attack on the rule of law. Here's what the Trump DOJ put on record. The same CBS article never followed up. The Biden administration did pressure immigration judges to rule a certain way, including grant motions to dismiss. The Trump administration has restored the rule of law, 2 paragraphs apart. The same article, no follow-up story from CBS.
Before July of the past year, I was hearing 3 individual cases a day. That included testimony, reading through evidence submitted, and making a decision. In July, 3 additional detained docket cases were added to my docket, so I was hearing 6 cases a day.
Here's the number, you guys, that connects those 2 clips, and I want you to hold on to it until we close out this video. Under Biden-era immigration bench, asylum approval ran 31%. Under the new bench, the one that CBS called unqualified, that rate is 5%. The fired judges heard cases. They approve roughly 1 in 3. The new judges are hearing more cases and approving 1 in 20. At least here, you guys, in my opinion, that gap is obviously not random. The gap is a policy difference between an immigration court system built to process removals and one built to actually slow them down. And here's the part, you guys, that nobody in mainstream media is connecting, and I held it, obviously, until right now so you could understand the full scope of this picture. CBS Sunday Morning ran a segment on immigration courts this spring. During that segment, they put up a screenshot of the Department of Justice's own official recruitment page for immigration judges. And on that page, published by the United States government, was a still image of The comic book character and movie character Judge Dredd. The DOJ is calling these new judges deportation judges right there in the job listing. Their recruitment page offers a $200,000 salary plus a 25% bonus for any judge willing to work in sanctuary cities. CBS treated that poster, that still image, like a warning sign, like proof, absolutely something sinister. The poster recruited 82 people who raised their right hand on May 20th. That poster, that image is still up and waiting for that list to get longer.
A broken Pentagon bureaucracy was doing the same thing for decades. When our warfighters needed more weapons, aircraft, and ships, the Department of Defense allowed contractors to double dip at your expense. They charge you, the taxpayer, to build their factories, and then charge you again for the final product. And despite paying companies to make weapons faster, schedule delays were constant, and cost overruns were the norm. All while their CEOs got rich. But today, President Trump's War Department is flipping this rigged system on its head. We're not tolerating delays in production or cost overruns anymore. We've pushed out the bureaucrats who've made these deals in the past and replaced them with the most talented negotiators in the private sector. A group of businessmen so elite, they've been rightly dubbed Deal Team 6. It's simple. We're putting the American taxpayer first by offering you a better deal. We now move at the speed of business, not bureaucracy.
Same philosophy Pete Hegseth brought to the immigration courts. And here's the part that most people are missing about how he actually did it. He didn't need a new law here. The authority to assign JAG officers to the Department of Justice already existed. It's in the books, already written, already legit and legal. The immigration court system already belonged to the executive branch, not the independent judiciary. CBS reported both of those facts in their own stories. Hegseth found the mechanism that was already built, so he pushed it.
On that, how does the budget request support efforts to actually modernize this process, making sure that we're not only using the current system, but we're looking at how can we be more efficient in the future?
Yes, thank you, Senator. The first answer in reverse order, we have asked for $37 million to modernize the IT programs that the immigration courts use. That in and of itself will create efficiencies that will help us in ways that should have happened years and years ago, and it didn't.
CNN said 25 JAG officers is a huge number to send to one city back in January. 4 months later, 5 military lawyers took immigration judges' oaths in Washington, D.C., alongside 77 civilians. Memphis got JAGs, D.C. got JAGs, Minneapolis got JAGs, and now immigration courts, they be getting JAGs. These aren't 4 separate programs. This is one pipeline moving through 4 different doors at the same time. And you guys, there are 595 more military lawyers still authorized and waiting. Let me give you the number that the morning after coverage obviously didn't run. The immigration court system dropped the backlog by 447,000 cases since January of last year. That comes out to about roughly 28,000 cases cleared from a pile every single month. The remaining backlog is 3.53 million. At that pace, at least in my opinion, the math says in about 10 years that will be completely clear. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds like a lot. That pace is not staying flat. It's actually going up.
This budget provides for $899 million for EOR. This is to continue rebuilding our workforce and modernizing our case processing systems. And we're continuing to try to find good judges that will work hard. And the budget also, a judge needs staff. So a judge needs clerks to help process the cases. We have almost 500,000 cases were processed last year. That's extraordinary.
$899 million for immigration court systems over the next fiscal year alone. That includes $37 million just for new technology to process cases a lot faster without adding more staff. Blanche told the Senate that they processed nearly 500,000 cases just this last year, which is absolutely true, which means the pace is accelerating toward the close, not slowing down. getting a lot faster with new tech and all this other stuff. And now the 595 authorized military lawyers who have not shown up yet, even half of them push that math into a completely different category.
CBS News has reported on the numerous cases where ICE agents detained immigrants as they exited their court hearings. With about 600 immigration judges left, courts now face a backlog of nearly 4 million cases.
CBS put 600 judges left on air in April on their broadcast and call it evidence of destruction. By May 20th, the corpse was near 700. CBS reported both of those numbers. They never connected them for obvious reasons. Never asked if the April numbers showed a broken system. What does the May numbers actually show? The question obviously answers itself, and it's exactly why CBS didn't ask the question.
And so today I'm proud to announce in greater detail the creation of the National Fraud Enforcement Division. Its core mission will be to zealously investigate and prosecute those who steal taxpayer dollars and rip off the American people. Our vision is to build a robust fraud-fighting squad capable of investigating and prosecuting the full spectrum of fraud against taxpayer dollars. We are going to staff this division by some of the department's best prosecutors, bringing together experts in healthcare fraud, tax fraud, benefits fraud, and corporate fraud under one roof with one mission: to protect the American people from fraud. Every U.S. Attorney's Office across the country will also be joining this re-energized fight against fraud. This means, in pure numbers, that there will be an additional 93 prosecutors in every district across the country devoted to the mission of combating fraud.
The same week those 82 judges raised their right hand, Blanche stood up in a separate room and announced 93 new federal prosecutors, one for every federal district in the country, dedicated entirely to fraud cases, immigration cases, fraud enforcement, violent task force, all of it. Moving at the same time, the administration and the critics spent 2025 calling the threat to legal institutions is adding headcounts across every single part of the legal system that it touches. The poster of Judge Dredd was not a bluff here, you guys. It was a memo. The memo wasn't a stunt. And the 5 military lawyers showing up in the Great Hall is not the end of the story. It's just the first chapter. America, here's the piece the morning after coverage probably won't give you. Asylum approval dropped from 31% down to 5%. Run that math across 1.8 million completed cases and what it means for every 100 cases the new bench actually clears. 95 of those cases ended in removal orders. Under the old bench, 31 of those same 100 would have been approved to stay here. That synthesis was never stated anywhere in any of these videos up until now. The replacement is not philosophical. It is numerical. And here's what nobody is calculating yet. Sanctuary cities are betting that the backlog protects them. They're betting that 3.5 million pending cases means removal orders take years to arrive. They're running that policy on assumption. If Hegseth deploys even half of those 595 remaining authorized military lawyers and the case rate keeps on climbing, that bet, my friends, that bet expires. And there's no plan in place for what it does. This is the same playbook that they used at the southern border. Build the legal infrastructure first, staff it with people who believe in the mission, then let the numbers do the work. CBS told you it was the purge. The Great Hall of Justice told you it was a rebuild. The scoreboard doesn't care what CBS calls it. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.